Ladies and gentlemen, 2022 brought about the rise of James Diaz. It brought about a very different side of the architect, Dewey Archer. We saw the continuation of a legendary title reign, in his own words, from the wrestling machine, Ernest Youngman. Tonight, we kick off 2023. It is going to be a huge year. From a meta perspective, it is the first time where we can say we are in uncharted territory, because in the 2013 series, this was when we ended it. Of course, we started 3 years later this time around, but still getting to this year in particular puts a smile on my face and a warmth in my heart. And although we do not have a thriving women's division led by the likes of Lucy Stone and Electric Dreamer, and we don't have Bryant Bell kneeing everybody on his way to a legendarily young title victory, what we do have is an absolutely astonishingly good roster and fantastic relationships within the Confederation of the Territories, despite the loss of some of our closest allies over the last couple of years. And tonight is definitely a show to celebrate our close ties of love and affection to the rest of the Confederation, because it is, of course, the greatest independent wrestling tournament in the territories today. It is, of course, the Ripcord Invitational. It is the 28th edition. Nope, it is the 18th edition of the Ripcord Invitational. An absolutely huge show. And indeed, we have a bracket for you. Shall we show it? Shall we take a look at said bracket? Starting us off to kick off the show this evening, we have there's a lot of blood rivalry on this bracket, that's for sure. But the first of the night will be Fro Shore, the man who, of course, spent 4 months on the shelf not too long ago because of the reckless wrestling of Logan Wolfsbane. He's going to be taking on his long-term rival, the man that he hates, the man that he's fought against for so long, and it's going to be an absolutely barnstorming match to start us off in the evening. Our second match of the evening, the return of James Diaz, who has not been seen since the Hot Prospects tournament at the Proving Ground, where he absolutely decimated Ernest Youngman during a match for his Mid-Atlantic Championship. He's going to be taking on a man we have seen only once before here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, a legendary figure in Lucha Libre. It is, of course, Mr. Lucha. Big match there in the quarter-finals. Moving on to, of course, our Canadian representative, the man we know as Kamikaze, formerly Shinikami, of course, one member of Devil May Care, taking on his long-term rival, American Elemental. Much more to talk about that match before it begins later tonight. And we have the United States debut of hot, slick Canadian grappler Jack Wood as he takes on our very own Dewey Archer, the Architect. It occurs to me that I'm very loud, so I'm going to turn my gain down just preemptively, because I'd rather be too quiet than too loud. So there we go. Hopefully we're all good. I'm gonna carry on with the show. We're at the Capitol Gardens. It is indeed going to be a smaller crowd than we've had in the past couple of years, but the economy is in the tank, so let's not dwell too much on that. As we kick off the show in the in the on-stage interview area, where Sweet Tabatha asks for sure if this is about, if he's aiming for victory tonight, if he's aiming for that one shot at a better life that he's been talking about for so many years. Is tonight that night for Frosure to finally ascend? And Frosure looks Sweet Tabatha up and down and says, "Sweet Tabatha, you're mistaken. What you are looking at right now is not a competitor, is not a man who fights as hard as he can to win this tournament, to lift out that big trophy at the end of the night with confetti raining down and going on to become a huge star in this business, because you know it has been announced earlier this month that the winner of this tournament this year will get a Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship shot whenever they want. Whenever, wherever they want over the next 12 months. That's a huge reward. I know it. But that's not what I'm after tonight. That's not why I got in this tournament. That's not why I am here. I am not here to win. I am not here to compete. I am here to fight, because you are looking at a burning embodiment of vengeance, a burning embodiment of justice and fury. And I look across at my first opponent tonight. I look at a man who calls himself genetically superior. I look at Logan Wolfsbane and I think, you know what? I'm not in this tournament to get to the end and win. I don't even care. What I'm in this tournament to do is hurt you, Logan. What I'm in this tournament to do is fuck you over. And tonight, I will burn you with all the righteous fury that I have ever had in this wrestling business. And when we clash, it doesn't matter whether I'm at the end of the night holding that trophy or whether it is somebody else. But my intention is to leave you scarred, leave you burned, and leave you regretting that you ever touched me. Frosier fired up and aggressive about his match in the tournament. And that's the one we're opening up with. And indeed, in 62C, these two have a brutal Memphis-style brawl. We've seen it over the last couple of months, over the last couple of years. These two have gone at it repeatedly. It's almost shifted from that initial technical wrestling exhibition that they showcased only a few years ago to just a downright brutal and nasty brawl. There is bad blood. These two represent polar opposite wrestling wrestling viewpoints, and indeed in this match there is just hatred, there is just viciousness, and Logan Wolfsman is trying to be clinical, he's trying to be aggressive, he's trying to close down Frosier. We've seen Logan pick up victories in these situations before, where Frosier has been an embodiment, a flaming angel of justice, as we've seen him before, but Logan's been clinical enough to pick up the victory. But tonight, Fro is too furious, too fast, and the two, they lead to a chaotic, a absolutely uncontrollable mess of a match that ends up brawling throughout the crowd. And of course, no time limit, but the referee does start counting, and as they head up into the barricades, into the popcorn stands, the referee reaches 10, and both men are eliminated from the tournament, which means either James Diaz or Mr. Lucha are going to be getting a bye into the finals. So the next match is, by proxy, a semi-final match. Huge stuff coming up next in the Ripcord Invitational 18. But indeed, before that, the lights go out and a spotlight appears in the ring, and you see the golden sunglasses sparkle of MC Motormouth, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is MC Motormouth, and I am the hottest. I am the most exciting, the most incredible management specialist in the country today. I have managed some of the greatest acts in this business. My client list reads like a dream team list, like the MVP team in the NBA. That is what I am to wrestling. And indeed, tonight, you will see the reimagining, the rebirth of a man that you thought differently of only a few months ago. You see it where it all begins again. You saw a different side of James Diaz. You used to think of him as the return of the monster, this brutal, this stupid, this uncontrollable rage, and you know, he is that. He has that rage, he has that passion, he has that fire. But you know, that's not all James Diaz is. You saw it where it all begins again. His technical basics are among some of the greatest in the business today. And you know, with me at the helm, he has the mind that he needs to become the greatest wrestler in the business today. So let me introduce you to the new, the improved, and the better than ever before. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the big money monster, James Diaz. And James Diaz makes his arrival. New look James Diaz looks very, very hyped, very, very ready to get started in this tournament. But he's got to get past the Lucha legend. And a 69C+, he does indeed get past the Lucha legend. Good stuff from Mr. Lucha, who we saw is able to put on those technical quickness against Dewey Archer back at where it all begins again, and indeed that's what he tries to do. Mr. Lucha trying to mix up that Lucha Libre high-flying ... dives against James Diaz, who's normally a much less flexible, much more what's the word? A much more stubborn kind of stuck in one place kind of wrestler, one speed wrestler, that kind of thing. And indeed, often these one speed wrestlers, guys like Scythe, who we haven't seen a lot of over the last couple of years, when they were at their peak, when they were at their prime, fast guys like American Elemental could really take them off of it. And indeed, we see that from Mr. Lucha, the fast-paced, quick Lucha Libre style, but he's also got that technical wrestling, and that's what he tries to use. If he's using the fast pace on defense to kind of shut down James Diaz and try and diffuse the situation, he's using that technical wrestling offensively, which is interesting because, in fact, in a lot of the cases over the last couple of years, we've seen the master technical wrestlers in this company use technical wrestling mainly as defense. You know, Ernest Youngman has that vicious crossface chicken wing, but aside from that, he is a diffuser at his core. He shuts down enemy offense with his technical wrestling. None of that comes from Mr. Lucha. Mr. Lucha uses his pace and his hard-hitting quickness to shut down James Diaz's offense, but he uses that technical wrestling, that really nasty limb-targeting stuff to try and win the match. But James Diaz, as we saw it where it all begins again, he is not somebody you're going to be able to just completely bowl over as a technical wrestler, and in fact he can counter a hold or two, and he can throw you halfway across the ring with a brutal suplex, a vicious suplex, and hit you with harder than you've ever been hit before with a strike or two. And that's indeed what James Diaz, the big money monster, does tonight, brutalizing the Lucha Libre legend. Despite an excellent performance from Mr. Lucha, it is indeed the big money monster James Diaz who puts on an excellent performance. Of course, you know, back at where it all begins again, we can doubt his efficacy, we can doubt what he did at the Hot Prospects tournament, but you cannot doubt that back at where it all begins again, he was an unstoppable machine, and he put on one of the greatest one of the greatest performances that we have ever seen from somebody who has lost a championship match. So a huge victory here from James Diaz. He'll be in the finals. Who will he face? Well, we're going to be finding out a lot later tonight, because we still have the quarterfinals to go. And of course, we have a video package hyping up the rivalry between Kamikaze and American Elemental. For those of you who haven't seen the rivalry unfold, these two arrived in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling roughly at the same time in 2017-ish, 2018-ish, and they were very, very different and very similar at the same time. American Elemental and Kamikaze, they love innovative offense. They love coming up with these new, shocking, awe-inspiring moves that the crowd are just absolutely wowed by. But indeed, they take things a little differently. American Elemental is all about valor, is all about courage. He is a colorful character at its finest. And despite him definitely being a traditional, down-to-earth Japanese junior, he's got that colorful character, technical element that you take from Lucha Libre, that you take from Mexican heritage, even though he is definitely, inspired by Elemental and Optimus, those type of masked wrestlers. He's got that Lucha Technico style infused in him. And it's all about honor, it's all about valor, it's all about courage for him. Whereas for Kamikaze, it's all about glory. You know, we talked before the show about him being 1/3 of Devil May Care. Their attitude is it doesn't matter how many broken bones they get, how many concussions they receive, so long as at the end of the day they are standing tall as the glorious winners of whatever it is they do. And indeed it has worked so well for that tag team unit, for the 3-time Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions. But how will it fare for Kamikaze tonight? The series is tied at 6-6. 6 losses, 6 defeats for Kamikaze. 6 losses, 6 wins for Kamikaze. 6 losses, 6 wins for American Elemental. They are dead tied. And I'm sure this won't be the end of this series. But tonight, somebody gets ahead. Okay. This is in the wrong place. So I will just talk about this a little later. And indeed, in a 65C, American Elemental defeats Kamikaze with that American Earthbreaker. It is another traditional match from these two in the series, just throwing bombs at each other, innovative move after innovative move, as they just try to keep the other one down. Aggressive, brutal, flashy, the best kind of wrestling that you expect from these guys. But in the end, it is American Elemental who will progress to the semifinals. Who will join him? Well, Dewey Archer is in the interview area, and he says, "Sweet Tabatha, 2023 is the year of the architect." Because, you know, I was dejected, I was sad last month when I lost my big title opportunity. Because, you know, I've been telling myself for so many years that I'm the guy, I'm the local celebrity, I'm the guy that everybody paid to see, I'm the uncrowned #1 contender, I'm the uncrowned champion of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, the most must-see superstar in the history of MAW, and the greatest technical wrestler in the business today. And you know what? When I look in the mirror and I say those things, I believe him. And when I go out to that ring and I stand in the middle of the ring and I wrestle the great technical wrestling that I do, I believe that I am the best technical wrestler in the world today. And when I look out to the crowd and I see so many thousands of people chanting my name, I know I'm the most must-see superstar in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling today. But there's one thing that I am not, and that's the best. Because you know what? Ernest Youngman, you are the man. Your time is now, and I recognize that. We've had enough matches for it to be shown, but you know what? Your words stick true, and this will be my year. I will go to every territory there is. I will bring every territory in the entire world to Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. I will make this place my home. I will tour the world. And what better place to start than the Ripcord Invitational, which brings together the greatest wrestlers in the world today. And tonight I get to face Jack Wood, one of the most exciting crossover superstars in the business today. And while I can see MC Motormouth, who's got his man yet again, ready to tell you all about him, all I'll say is that I believe I am better, and I am looking forward to the challenge. And this is when the promo from earlier was supposed to come in. MC Motormouth says, "Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am by now. And I'm here to tell you about one of my other clients. I told you my list of clients reads like the dream team. Well, it's not just the big money monster. It is also the most successful crossover superstar in the history of professional wrestling. The slickest technical young wrestler in the business today. Ladies and gentlemen, Canadian sensation, Jack Wood." And indeed, Dewey Archer and Jack Wood go on to have an excellent technical wrestling match. And Jesus Christ, the chemistry here. Have an excellent technical wrestling match going back and forth. And Jack Wood does show how slick he is, moving from hold to hold with absolutely exquisite form and posture and poise, moving, even keeping up with the smoothness of Dewey Archer, who is a 10-year professional trained by the legendary Sam Keith. This is just an excellent performance from Jack Wood on his US debut, matching the poise of Dewey Archer. But in the end, Dewey Archer, that technical wrestling prowess, gets the better of Jack Wood. An excellent debut for Jack Wood, but Dewey Archer picks up the victory and will meet American Elemental, a match that has happened a few times before in the semifinals. I think we're actually going straight into the semifinals here. Yeah, so here we go. And indeed, in the 68C C+, American Elemental and Dewey Archer have a wonderful back and forth technical wrestling match. You know, American Elemental, we've seen in the past, has that mixture of high flying, exciting wrestling that we saw in the first round against Kamikaze, but he's also got those solid, more than solid, exquisite technical basics, and that's what he tries to do with Dewey Archer here. Of course, is Smooth, who of course is an absolutely slick professional wrestler, and indeed, this is an excellent technical match. They go hold for hold, working down each other's limbs. This isn't like the flashy, anything you can do, I can do better style of wrestling that we've seen from the Ernest, Youngman, Dewey Archer series. This is all about victory. And in fact, it is absolutely incredibly refreshing to see the architect of your destruction, Dewey Archer, really go out there and try and win a match. And he stands toe-to-toe with a guy who represents Pride, Glory, Honor Wrestling now. A guy who has toured so much around the world, whose mask is legendary. It's not a stretch to say that American Elemental is a legend of the business. One of the greatest wrestlers alive today. And Dewey Archer goes toe-to-toe with him. And on so many occasions during this match, looks like he's about to win it. But in the end, American Elemental is able to use that pace, he's able to use that slick wrestling, and he is so good. American Elemental, an absolute breakout star in the business today, ready to get snapped up and turned into a world-renowned superstar. And indeed, he's just too much on this night for Dewey Archer, who puts in a good performance, but ends up bowing out here in the semifinals, as American Elemental moves on to meet the big money monster James Diaz in our final match of the evening for the for the Ripcord Invitational Challenge title, which I haven't made much of a big deal out of this thing, but I didn't mention it during the first promo. The winner of the tournament this year will get a shot at the title whenever they want, wherever they want, and they have 12 months to take that shot. So very similar to how Money in the Bank works. And in fact, they're going to get a briefcase. So there you go. We head to the backstage interview area where Ernest Youngman, sunglasses in tow, big leather jacket and a title around his waist, says, "Sweet Tabatha, we are going in to the third calendar year of Ernest Youngman's legendary title reign. You know, I've only been reigning for about a year and a half now, but I was champion in 2021, I was champion in 2022, and I gotta tell you, sweet baby girl, I'm champion in 2023, and I gotta tell ya, it is an honor, because I stand here in front of the thousands of fans here at the Capitol Gardens. I go out there and I feel the heat on my skin as I walk into this building today, and the only thing that I can think of as I walk to the building today is how I will not be wrestling tonight, and it tears me apart because wrestling is one of life's sweetest pleasures. And when I get to step into that ring with some of the greatest superstars in the business today, because they're all here, in the greatest territory, in the greatest country, in the greatest planet, in this damn solar system. Not being able to do that tears me apart, but what lets me have a consolation prize tonight is getting to see those great superstars in the greatest tournament in this planet. And the winner, I get to get excited all over again, is going to be taking on me for this title whenever they please. And there are two men who could take that honor. American Elemental, I've never fought you. It'd be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I gotta tell you, that just turns me on. It makes me excited because I could add your name to this legendary title reign. James Diaz, I know you're getting better every day. You're getting better every second, and I know you are the future, but I've said it once, and I will say it again. The future goes through me, and diamonds may fade, giants may fall, but Ernest Youngman is forever, baby, so if your time comes when you come through me, you're going to be waiting a long time, because my time is now, and you better recognize. Ernest Youngman, excited for who his opponent will be. Who will that be? Who is the Ripcord Invitational Challenge Champion 2023? It can only be a new winner. And in a 61C, a great main event tonight. American Elemental, that's not right. And that's enough to make me want to fix that. So I am going to. In fact, I think I'm going to do it right now. So apologies for that. That's not good at all. So I selected the wrong winner there, guys. Usually I don't restart things that are that far into the episode, but for something that's that important, I absolutely have to. Yeah, it looks like I didn't set any of the notes for this final match, which is absolutely crazy of me. Again, big apologies for this, but that's why we have the spoiler screen. And you guys certainly don't come to my channel for the most professional TEW booking series in the world. That's for damn sure. So. Yeah, we'll just, I fixed them just getting to the match again. Apologies once more. But I'm sure you guys understand. There you go. So, yeah, these two go back and forth. American Elemental, once again, using that quickness, using that speed, but very similar to the first match, actually, because he's taken on James Diaz, who has proven late last year that he has the ability to go toe-to-toe with a technical wrestler, and indeed American Elemental speed just can't put him off. You can't stump James Diaz, the big money monster, who has been on one of the most brutal reigns, one of the most brutal streaks in Mid-Atlantic wrestling history over the last couple of years, indeed rivaling that of George Wolf, rivaling that of Logan Wolfsbane, some of the most dominating top stars we've ever seen in Mid-Atlantic wrestling, and tonight it is proven once again, because American Elemental goes straight, head first, into the brick wall that is the big money monster. He shows so much intelligence to mix in with that strength, to mix in with that physical prowess. James Diaz is getting smarter, and that should terrify the entire roster, and in the end, he picks up the victory with the Monster Mash, destroying American Elemental, and lifting the trophy, lifting it up above his head. Confetti rains from the sky. MC Motormouth, very happy. One of his clients has picked up a huge trophy victory here at the Ripcord Invitational. Good start to 2023 for my lads. Good start for James Diaz. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's linked to my Patreon in the description if you want to... If you're feeling especially generous and you particularly enjoyed the show, it's linked to my Twitter in the description. If you want to hear me ramble, here are the ratings after I reran the show. Apologies once again for having to fix the issue there. Yeah, lots of general fuck-ups tonight. But, you know, I'm getting back into it. You guys probably noticed last year that I was a bit disparate. That's because I had a busy month, but I still wanted to get a year done. So we're back into it now, though. I plan to record, a year in the next couple days, so we should be full steam ahead. The graphics department, aka me on a Sunday, has fully drafted up thumbnails for the next couple of years, so we should be really good to just keep powering through, and hopefully you will be here for the ride. So thank you all for watching once again. I hope you guys will join me next time. I don't know what's booked. I don't think anything's booked. Maybe we'll have a tag team event of some sort. So hope you guys will join me then. Peace out.